Welcome to another episode of Physically Jacked and Financially Stacked podcast, everyone likes the name. So welcome to Brent, who is all the way over in Arizona, in Scottsdale, who has an interesting setup with terms of traveling around the US to go to a different state every 6 months. In person, I think it's pretty sick. Brent runs a business which is called Close to Fitness and specializes in helping fitness professionals with high ticket sales. So thank you very much for your time, Brent.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. If you guys see I'm being blinded, the Arizona sun comes up at like 6 a.m. at this point. So all morning I'm just getting blasted in the face. But yeah, I'm super pumped to be here, man.
Funny story. You just said you watched my YouTube a few years ago. You make stuff sometimes, right? And you're like, does anyone actually fucking watch this stuff? Like, obviously, I get like 30,000 subscribers, whatever. But you wonder if anyone actually watches any of this stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I was watching it a couple years ago, and then I still would follow you on Instagram. So connecting here is a really cool thing for me personally.
100%. You had an interesting question for me. I thought we might as well call this up conversation. We get into sales stuff.
Yeah. So like I knew you were more like B2C, business to consumer, like helping like the general public get more fit, more healthy. When did you sort of transition to like the B2B space to help fit pros as well?
And that was June last year it started. So I've been thinking about it for a while, like probably 12, 18 months, but I never wanted to be that guy who's like a business coach, quote unquote. And my big thing was like being undeniable in terms of what I do and what I've done, so that I'm in a point where I feel wholeheartedly that I can teach anyone because I've been through all the processes and all the levels with different problems. And I think that's one of the things that most people miss out on, is that you end up becoming quote business coaches at the number of fitness business. So like one of the first things I always say to people is like, if you're working with a mentor, I'd always ask them was like, do you actually have a fitness business? Or if you know, did you sell it? What happened to it? Because if you don't have one, if you did sell it, it was obviously pretty shit because you wouldn't get a successful business.
Exactly. 100%. I'd say the exact same thing to our students. If you have a business coach, one that hasn't owned a fitness business, personally, I did not, but I've sold for about 10 of them. So my big thing is like, is someone teaching you sales that hasn't actually sold fitness in 5-10 years or at all ever? Because that's a pretty scary thing. And I feel like there's a lot of that in the industry right now.
100%. And that's one of the reasons I started, because I always have people begging, like, can you help me? Because I've been screwed over by X, Y, Z. And eventually I just felt bad. I was like, fine, I'll just do it. And I really enjoyed doing it. So I was like, okay, fine. Like, this is obviously maybe what I'm supposed to do and really passionate about business, which is why I like the podcast and why I like connecting people with you, Brent. So I can then help other people to help other people improve their lives in terms of fitness. And it's just a new challenge, I think, if that makes sense.
Oh, it is. It's so rewarding to be on the other side of things. Like I know you know how it feels to take somebody who's in their current state and then project what it could look like in 3, 6, 12 months, and then actually to help them get there. And then it's similar but different. Just very rewarding to do the same thing with a business like a Fit Pro, to project what it could look like if they get X, Y, and Z in place, and then to actually see them accomplish it is very, very rewarding.
100%. And one of the reasons why I wanted you on here is we have our head coach will be sick at sales training, but I always like different people's opinions, different people's language, and always learn from everyone. Like, and the big thing is I'm one of his student games. One of the reasons I want to do a podcast is I saw some of the copy from one of the posts you put up, and I was like, I like the way I talk, so I like he's going to be a good guy to talk to. And I think sales is probably the biggest area most people struggle with when it comes to really like building their business, whether it be actually closing themselves or starting to build a team. And what would you say is the first thing people should really start to address when they're trying to focus on improving their closing?
Yeah, so it really depends like what the structure looks like. And because we work with Fit Pros that will come from all different backgrounds, right? Like some don't even have their clients sign contracts, some don't have them commit to any length of time. So like when those things aren't in place, it's really hard to have a good, consistent sales process that's functioning every single month without the baseline things in place, right? So like a good contract, again, selling not just month to month, that can be really dangerous. You don't really have predictable revenue. So it's really hard to grow your business without a consistent MRR, monthly recurring revenue. So like as a business owner, stability is everything. I'm sure you can appreciate that, right? So when it comes to improving your sales, one is just having those baseline items, which any good business coach like Charlie here will have that in place for you, I'm sure. And then the next thing is just what it comes down to is having a process. right? I know that sounds kind of generic. If you're just shooting from the hip on every single call, you have no idea what's working or not, right? If you have no idea what's working, how can you reduce it down to what is working and then do more of that? You can't. And without that component, your business won't scale.
Yeah, I could agree more. I think it's almost the same as when people are building their business, but they don't know the numbers. Like today, I'll tell people like, how many outbound messages you send when you're selling daily? What's your closing percentage? And people don't have a clue what the numbers are. And even I spoke to a friend of mine on Friday, his fitness business was like £60,000 a month. It's like $1,800 a month. And he doesn't know what profit and loss is. It's like, dude, you need to know these numbers. Like, this is critical.
It's scary. It's scary. That's why, full transparency, the first thing that I do is I have, before I can determine, if we can help anybody, I have to have a financial picture. I have to know, one, if you're profitable each month, because a lot of fit pros, and I'm sure you've come across this as well, feels profitable. It feels like you're closing enough deals, you're bringing in new clients and things are going great until you look at the profit loss statement. You're like, well, wait a minute, right? This month I was actually negative because of the retainer on ads, the ad spend, at, all the things that they're not in the forefront of your brain. So when you actually see it at the end of the month, it's not as sexy as that big number that you see up top.
I think that's one big mistake people make is they focus on headline revenue rather than actual profit. And it's like, the revenue, I think it's saying this better studios, like revenue feeds your ego, but profit feeds your family. It's like people focus too much on the top line. And that's why, like, one of the best habits anyone can get into, and this is what I think teach what the last line is, like every week on a Friday, I sit down and take every bank statement and be like, where are we spending money? Where are we spending money? And so I know exactly, like, where money's going out and the cash flow of the business throughout the month. And the bigger business gets, the more important that becomes.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that, when I invested into like an accounting team for my company, it's every month they send me a video of exactly that flow, where everything's going, what every margin percent was, everything. And it's like, that is not every fit pro is going to be at that level, and that's okay. But you should have a baseline. How we set it up is your personal expenses, your business expenses. At least have those two numbers so that you can compare to what came in that month. And that's really easy to check. Just go to Stripe, go to Wave, go to whatever you collect payments on, and just track what came in that last month and what your average bills are. And you'll have at least a baseline. It won't be as intricate, but you'll have a baseline.
100%. Why do you think people don't track that?
I think they don't know how. And I think they're intimidated by the numbers, right? They think, they see like a balance sheet or like an income statement, and they're like, that's for someone else. Right. But as a business owner, unless you can afford that luxury of hiring like an accountant, and I'm sure you will get to that point. Like if you're a fit pro that's kind of out there grinding, like if you're not at that point, you still have to take responsibility for that, because that's arguably the biggest part of your business.
Otherwise, I think about this listening. If you're not working out right now, are you potentially working for free?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if you're not making money, you're not making money. Like, you work.
And that's a scary thing that I think some people don't want to discover, is what they're actually profiting at the end of the month, and how, like, what that smaller number actually looks like after everything is said and done.
I'm so coming into sales. One of the things I loved when I looked at you on Facebook was what you call your push-pull buying process.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is that?
Yeah, so it's an interesting, it's kind of like a dance, right? The way I explain it is it's like a dance. So when you're talking with a client, I'll give you guys the basic synopsis here just to keep it simple, because I could talk for hours and hours. So when you're having a conversation with a prospect, I think that the traditional method is to basically say, hey, what are your goals? What are your challenges? Okay, sick. I can help you. Here's what it looks like. Here's the price. Once I drop the price, they say no, then it's just a boxing match, right? You're throwing a couple jabs, they're throwing a couple jabs. And then at the end of that 60 minutes, that bell rings and the client's like, all right, I got to go. I have this thing, my kids, whatever it is, like, get me out of here, right? So you both leave with a couple black eyes, nobody's happy, and there's definitely no sale, right? And if there is, if you were able to, kind of work them into a position where they felt like they needed to buy, whether it be through, like, I don't want to say shame, but a lot of it is shaming in the fitness industry, right? Typically, those clients are going to file a chargeback. They're going to file a chargeback, or they're going to say, hey, I rushed into that. I don't want to do this anymore. They're going to be a quick cancellation, or it's going to be a 15 to 30 day cancellation, right? And nobody wants that as a fit pro, right? So what we did was we designed a method where it's just like, I explain it like a dance, Charlie. So it's like, guys, if you can imagine me and Charlie here at a middle school dance, right? When you're at the middle school dance, You're like kind of awkward. You're at, an arm's length. You're kind of way out there and it's kind of weird, right?
That sounds like
So
me
like,
dancing.
what's that?
It sounds like me dancing. What would weird?
Yeah, exactly. And I always tell people if you see me dancing in any social setting, it's time to go. Get me out of there. So think about like a middle school dance. You're awkward. Your arms are fully extended. You're kind of doing the dance back and forth, right? We don't like that in sales. I don't like awkward, are you in or are you out, right? Are we dancing or not? So like the push-pull process is, Charlie, what I'm going to do is throughout the call, I'm going to stress test your motivation or your urgency to make a change, okay? So we might be, during the call, and if I'm noticing or I'm picking up on maybe hesitations or possible objections down the road, I'm going to push you away and just kind of see how you respond, okay? So I'm going to push you at an arm's length like we're dancing, right? And I want to see what you're going to do. So for instance, let's say you're someone who, and tell me if you've come across this client in your career, right? It's someone who has tried everything under the sun. Nothing works, but it's been a long journey, 10, 15 years. They've done Weight Watchers, Activia, Noom, everything, and just nothing works. Have you come across that person?
Millions of times.
Okay, right. So what I might say, right, just to push them away and see if this is serious is, hey, listen, Sally, I just don't get the impression that this is like a top priority for you to actually make a change and do something like this time around. Tell me if I'm wrong, right? And what I've just done is I've pushed you away. You're at an arm's length. So now I'm going to assess how you're going to respond. Are you going to step in? Yeah. Are you going
to justify why they did it, right?
Exactly. And we're going to do this over and over. So once I push you away, I gauge how you respond. If you do respond and you take a step back in, no, it is time for a change. I am ready for a change. I've tried everything else and it didn't work. I'm ready for one-to-one coaching. If you respond like that, then it's like, okay, well, talk to me about those other programs. Like what specifically wasn't working for you to where, you felt like maybe you were let down. This is the pull process. So again, it's back and forth. I pushed you out. You were extended. You had two options, Charlie. Sally could have said, I don't know. I don't know that now is the best time. Okay. So now you've stayed out there, right? You didn't come back in. That's okay. That's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another gentle push. And if I have to, I'll push you right out the door and off this call. That's okay, because you might not have been a great client. It might not be the right time. You might be 3 months out. That's okay too. Okay. But I'm going to save the rest of my 45 minutes that we had on this call and do something else as a business owner. Right. So like an example of like two pushes would be, hey, I don't get the impression that this is a top priority. Tell me if I'm wrong. And they can say, yeah, I'm just not sure that now is the best time. Okay, well, what we found, whether it's with us or anyone else, it usually takes about 30 minutes a day to lose, XYZ weight, right? Do you feel like you could find that time? Again, whether it be with us or anyone else, that would be another push. I'm separating myself. If they say, no, I don't think I could find the time. Well, what do you think I should do from there, Charlie?
If they say they can't find the time, I'd be pushing back and be like, you don't really want to get in shape or whatever it is. I'd keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. I might keep pushing them. Exactly. I might keep pushing them until, again, eventually it's like, okay, I can't help you. I literally can't help you because you just told me you don't have the time and it's not top priority. What can I do on my behalf? Right? I can't force change as a fitness coach. All I can do is facilitate it. But there has to be a certain amount of intrinsic motivation from your side for me to make that work. If there's not, there's nothing I can do. Right? So there's a lot to unpack there. Do you have any questions about like the push part of the process?
I think it's smart. I think I end up doing intuitively, but I think almost if you think about it logically and actually try to think about it as a process, what I call is quite a big way to do it. It sounds like back and forth because you get people. I find, do you ever push back on people when it comes to a price point of view? So for example, you get people like they're in. And then it's like, oh, I need to think about it, I've got a lot on. And then you push back on them really hard and like, you don't really want to do this. Like, what's experience someone said to me the other day, like, all mark and no bite. Like, a friend of mine explained, another friend of mine was that. Did you push back on them pretty hard at that point?
So it's an objection handling is, and you know what, I'll walk you through that because what I do, and I told you I market towards it. If your sales coach isn't taking fitness calls, think twice, right? So I still take fitness calls just to stay steady. It's good practice. And then I break down my own calls for my students, right? So last week I took one, and it was a fear objection. It was a timing objection. Let me think it over the weekend. Then it was trust, and then it was finance, and then it was length of time for commitment. She didn't want to commit to 6 months. So I had 6 objections that I had to overcover overcome. And I had to literally just cross them off one by one, by one, by one. Finally, at the end of all of that, she said, I'm still not ready to make a decision. So like, that's where you just, like, the rubber hits the road, like no bullshit. Like, and I'll walk you guys through that process and how I did overcome that objection. And I did get a paid in full there, right? Despite everything. So really quick, once you've pushed them, Charlie, and they're out there and they do give you, there's some reciprocity, right? They push back, they do fight to stay on the call, because that's a lot of what they're doing is they're convincing you, they're selling you on them being a good client. And that concept, I think blows a lot of people's minds. They have to sell you as much as you're selling them. They have to sell you that they're going to show up on day 2. They're going to show up on day 30. They're not going to file a chargeback or give a negative review. They're going to be a good client, right? So if they show me that they want to be on a call, now I'm going to pull them in. So this is the other part of like the tandem here, right? The pull process is going to be once they've opened up, hey, I don't get the another push, right? Just to give you guys an example, if someone says, Charlie, if you told me, yeah, dude, I've been trying this for 5 years, man. I'm at my end, man. I'm over it, right? If you start to get emotional with me, what I'll do, right? It's almost like a tease, but there's a reason. I might say something like, oh, dude, it can't be that bad. No, it is that bad. No, it's so much worse than even what I just told you. Because now, and then you're going to open up and you're going to tell me all these reasons and justify why it is that bad, right? Now that you've pushed back, I'm going to pull you in. So that pulling in is a part of the process where we create a space where they can be vulnerable, which is exactly what that, you in this situation would be doing. My sex drive is low, my confidence is low, I wear my t-shirt in the pool. You might start telling me these things and I might say, well, hold on, just pause for a moment. Let's unpack some of that. You said your sex drive has been low. How long has that been going on? See what I'm doing there?
Yeah, you're opening me up more to then explain what the real problem is and then like digging in deeper where it's so comfortable for the other prospects so that pain is growing and growing and growing.
Yep, exactly. So you fought back. Now I'm going to pull you in. I'm going to facilitate this moment where you can just open up and spill the beans. I'm going to ask what kind of emotional, mental, physical impact that has had on your life or your relationships, which is going to take us even deeper, right? And then I'm going to give you a pat on the back for even showing up for this call, which is going to set a congruency reframe down the road, which is a whole separate topic there.
Well, how would you transition after that point?
I like to give, when people are very vulnerable, I like to give them props for getting on the call, right? Hey, Charlie, look, thank you, one, for being vulnerable there, for opening up and kind of letting me, into what's been going on over the past 5 years. I guess I just want to say like, thank you and good for you, man, right? Like a lot of people out there, they would have chalked it up 5 years. Like, this is just the way of life. This is just the way things are, right? And they just accept that. Do you know anyone in your life that's kind of just accepted the way things are? Yeah. Well, you're here, man. I mean, you're here. You're obviously different than those people. You showed up for yourself today. So I just want to give you, I want to give kudos for that. I think that's awesome. What did I just do there?
You praised me, then you gave. I then have a positive reflection and trust you because you're praising me.
Mm-hmm. And now you're this person, not that person, right? There are other people who make decisions in other ways who have that result, right? There are those people. And then there's you who makes decisions this way, right? And makes this, and will get this result. So now there's 2 buckets on this person. Those are those people. So if you tell me, hey, I need to think about it, I might pull that string, the congruency, the identity model.
So in terms of if I said you pitching the price as I need to think about it, you'd be like, well, I thought you identified as this type of person, not this type of person.
The first thing I do, you're perfectly on the right track. The first thing I do when I get any objection is I just want to understand it, right? When you say think about it, what do you mean exactly? What are some specific things you'd like to think over just to see if I can point you in the best direction? Oh, well, I really need to think about, I've got this coming up. I have this vacation. I don't want to restrict myself on that. Okay, well, we're not handling a think about it objection. We're handling a vacation, right? And the fact that they think it might be restrictive. So like that's a different conversation than if they said, I need to think about the price because that's just a lot of money. Well, that's a finance objection. So think about it objections don't really exist. They always boil down to some other thing.
So the mask, right?
It is. It's like they put up a shield. I just need to think it over. Hormozy says this best. You're not going to sit in a chair and just scratch your chin for 3 days and think it over. There's something else going on.
What would you say are the 2 biggest objections you get? Finances and maybe like spouse objection?
Spouse we don't get as often just because we pre-handle it hard. We really, really handle that upstream, and that's been very effective. The biggest one would definitely be price. And usually, if you can kind of go through the motions of the process effectively before that, handling finance objections is just kind of like, okay, let's move this here, let's do this, let's make this work. Does that work for you? Yes, it does. Phenomenal. Because you get the
like a reconfiguring the package that they're trying to buy to fix their finance, and if that makes sense.
Say that one more time.
Is it more, do you just try and reconfigure the payments so it fits what would work for them, if that makes sense?
Exactly, but I won't do that just yet. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, Charlie, is if you tell me it's too expensive, I need to understand what that's in reference to. Okay?
Because it's as in like expensive compared to what?
Exactly. And I like to give binary options when I objection handle in the beginning. Think about objection handling like a tree. If I give two options, you're going to answer one of two ways. If I do an open-ended question right up top, you could answer any way that you want. And if I'm a new sales rep or I'm not super experienced, I might not know how to handle that, right? You could say some off-the-wall stuff that I'm like, right? And then you got to hurry up and go back and look at your script and see what's going on. I don't like that for teaching fit pros. I want to give a this or that option to keep it really simple, okay? So I'm going to ask, Charlie, tell me it's a lot of money.
It's far too much money. I just couldn't afford it, right?
Okay. When you say it's too much, right, is that in reference to kind of like what's sitting in the bank right now? Or I guess like more of like the value and what you feel like you'd be getting like from our program?
Compared to my monthly income.
Compared to your monthly income. Okay. So there, you just gave me a logical finance. I'm going to understand, okay, do you mind if I ask like what that looks like? Or do you mind if I ask if we go into that conversation, is that something you're comfortable with?
Yeah.
So now we just branched into two ways. We're going logical finance, not your program. Okay. And then I'm going to ask them, I'm going to give your viewers one really good line here, guys. So write this down. Okay. You guys ready? When I handle finance, I get permission first. Get permission first. I cannot say this enough. It is a personal thing to let someone in to your financial state, right? Like, again, Charlie, if I said, yo, dude, how much money you have coming in each month? You'd be like, all right, dude, relax, right? We just met, okay? So before I do that to a prospect, I don't want them to have the exact same response, right? So I'm going to say, hey, just so I understand, is it just the money, or is it anything else that kind of comes up for you?
It's just the money.
Just the money, okay. So here's the question, guys. Charlie, if we spend 5 minutes here and we workshop some different ideas, maybe we find something that works, maybe we don't. Like, that's fine. Is that something you'd be comfortable with, though, just to workshop some different ideas?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, perfect. Now you've just given me permission to objection handle you. Do you think the dynamic's going to be a little bit different now?
Yeah, I would say.
What was one other thing? Did you catch it that I said in there? I said, we might not be able to make this. We might not be able to find something that works, and that's fine. Right?
You gave them a reason for looking at it almost.
Yeah. I'm not attached to this. I do not care if we find a way to make this work or not, but we're already here. We've already talked for 40 minutes. I would be doing you a disservice if we didn't at least explore some different options.
Absolutely.
So it really just comes down to getting their permission to go over finances. And once they give you that permission, it's like, okay, cool. You're a part of it. I'm not dragging you into this conversation. You're an active part of it. So let's just put our heads together, and now we're on the same side of the table. We're not punching each other like a boxing match.
And then what's your next step be then? Do you go into the open with your monthly expenses, where do you spend your money, that sort of questions?
People give clues throughout the call. So if you've given me a dozen clues that, hey, I'm on fixed income, I'm salaried, and my expenses pretty much almost outweigh my income, then I might go straight into budget just to see like what that looks like. But if you haven't really given me like any indication that finances are like a big struggle, I might just like ask for a starting point, right? It seems like you had an amount in mind, or like a cutoff. That's a label, right? It seems like you had an amount in mind before you hopped on this call. Can you kind of guide me in that direction? What does that number look like? And I want to just see like what that number is, and then we'll work up or down from there, depending on what I can offer.
Do you think one of the key things, so like one of the things I like to say to people is, when I get a price objection, say that it has to the price, but like, what would work for you today? Like, just a very open questions, so that it's forcing them to come up with an answer.
Mm-hmm. We do something similar. I say, is there an amount in mind that is not going to get the lights turned off or take food off the table? I said extremes. Because most people, like when you said an extreme, it's like, okay, it's not that bad. Like I could probably do this, right? But I want to set that high extreme because I want to make sure, one, that I'm not taking food off the table, right? Because that's going to be a client that cancels in 30 days when their mortgage is due.
Makes sense. And I guess you setting that extreme is also making them realize that their financial situation probably isn't as bad as they think it is, isn't it?
100%. 100%. It's the same concept of like, if you went out and you went shopping, right? Let's say you're going out and you're getting some summer clothes, right? And you see a t-shirt that you like. And you can confidently say, yes, I can afford that, or no, I cannot. Otherwise, you wouldn't be shopping, right? You don't go to the store, you see a t-shirt you like, and you're like, let me go back. Let me talk to my husband, see if I can buy this t-shirt, review all my finances, think it over for 3 days, then I'll come back and buy that shirt. That just doesn't happen, right? People know what they objectively can afford and cannot afford. There is a cutoff somewhere, and they usually tell you that they don't know what that is, but unless you give them some context like I just did, then they'll start to land on a number.
Makes a lot of sense. Is there any like other questions or valuable points around that? Because I think, frankly, often people can blow up the sales call earlier in the call, but I think most people probably fail towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think they get squirmy around price dropping and things like that, and you can hear it and feel it. And when people are nervous, other people can sense that. Yeah.
What would you attack to beat someone to come to cover that sort of challenge?
Yeah, perfect. Really good question. Pre-handle. Handle all this 30 minutes earlier, right? So like the process that we use, guys, it's like I want to handle as many things up here in the first 15 minutes of the call to determine if this is worth continuing, right? I want to pre-handle, get them all out in the open and up front. So that way, when I'm at the end of the call, it's like, I already know what all your possible objections are. I already know that you're bought in because I've pushed you away so many times. I've stress tested the conversation a dozen times and you fought back every single time. If you didn't, I wouldn't be price dropping, right? So once you've gone through all those progressions, the end of the call is like, cool, man, it's $4,200 for 12 months. And you're going to do one of two things there. You're going to say, cool, let's do it. All right, I collect a PIF. Or you're going to say, can we break that up? And then I'll go down that progression and just see exactly what's going to make the most sense financially for you.
What would you say are the key questions you are at the start of the call trying to extract that information?
That's a hard one. So I'll give you like an example. I'll ask something like, hey, have you worked with a one-to-one coach in the past, or what have you done to lose this weight? Right? If they say, no, I never worked with a one-to-one coach, then I'll say, okay, any particular reason? I know they're expensive. Expensive? How do you mean exactly? Well, I heard that they're $600 a month. Then I'm like, okay, so she's on the high end. That's good because typically, you might be a little bit lower.
Do you know where expectations are straight away, right?
Exactly. If she says, I heard they're like over $100 a month, then I'm going to, okay, record scratch, pause for a moment, think, do I have anything that I could even touch $100 a month? No. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's any wiggle room on that, if it meant achieving X, Y, and Z goals. So now I'm going to compare it to the outcome because most people are like, I don't know. I'd probably pay about $100 for a coach. That seems to be like the cutoff, right? I don't know, $100, but they don't understand, one, the value of what they're getting, and two, the extent of their problems. And it's not until they understand both of those things that they can justify spending $4,200. Right? I say 4,200. It can be anywhere. It could be 5K, 6K, whatever you guys charge for a year. But that you have to have pain and you have to have urgency.
When someone's at that point and when they say they're expecting to pay $100, what sort of questions would you ask and then ascertain if they would pay more?
Mm-hmm. So it's that the extreme, right? Yeah. Okay, if I'm understanding correctly, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, Charlie, but it sounds like anything over $100 would put you in a position where maybe the lights are getting turned off or taking food off the table. Is that right? What I'm doing there is I'm going...
You're so extreme for it.
Exactly. I'm going for no, right? I want you to tell me no there. So a lot of questions that I ask, and again, we're getting deep into this. We could do a podcast episode 2, and I'll go into how we ask no-oriented questions. That's a whole different topic. But what I want you to do is I want you to say, no, it's not that bad. It's not going to get food off the table. Okay, so it sounds like maybe there's a bit of room. Tell me, like, if you were to go a little bit above 100, or like if we went and had that conversation, what would you need to see to justify that extra money? Oh, well, I need this, and this. I need accountability, one-to-one support, and weekly check-ins. Okay, perfect. Anything else? All I'm doing is just building my arsenal for the presentation I'm going to give in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's just right.
Yep. So if they tell me though, guys, if they tell you sincerely, anything over $40 will literally take food out of my child's mouth, that's an ethics conversation. Okay. I tell my students, if it truly is, and if it's going to make you feel bad, I wouldn't do it. Do what's right for the client always.
The chances are they can't really get declined anyway, that situation.
What's that now?
They can't probably get declined if that's the situation.
Exactly. It's just, you might get the sale and it might be an ego thing and you can brag in the group chat, but they're going to cancel our chargeback. So it's like, don't even subject yourself to that.
What would
you're not going to feel good.
Do you see that happens frequently? So for me, that'd be a sign that the prospect probably hasn't been qualified correctly before they're on the call.
Exactly. 100%. They haven't been qualified either in the DMs. And if you do a 2-call, they should have been qualified way, way deeper in the triage. And then again, re-qualified at the top of your closing call. So there's 3 qualifying moments for us.
Would you recommend to do achievable close or walkable close?
2 every day of the week.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So on the first call, what do you do on the first call and then the second call?
Good question. So I'm gonna give you an example as to why I promote this to all of our clients. Okay. Time management. So one thing that we talk about all the time, you're probably going to see it a ton more, is the 1-to-1 to 2-to-1 ratio, or 1-to-2 ratio, right? Every call booked for a closing call should be $1,000 contracted on average. Okay. If we're not hitting that metric, that tells me the system is not functioning well. Okay. So for instance, we just had a client and it was just so funny because I took a picture of it. She had exactly 83 calls booked and she closed exactly $83,000 last month. I was like, that is a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. Usually it's a little bit more or it's around there, but it was. So if you guys are booking a certain amount of closing calls, you should be closing or contracting that in thousands of USD dollars, right? Now, the reason I, again, go back to your question, the 2-call close is preferable because of 1, time management. Okay. 2, I think a mental stability standpoint, right? If you're getting on calls and you're getting beat up every day, all day, and you're not closing a high percentage of deals, that doesn't feel good, does it?
You lose momentum.
You lose momentum. And then you're like, why am I even doing this, dude? I hate this part of the business. I just want to be an assistant coach, right? You don't want that. Okay. And 3, the biggest one, and this is again, last week, I took a different sales call. And this was on me, guys. I own this. It was for my girlfriend's company, and we were pushing for a certain number, and we were 1 sale away. So I was like, you know what? Just put her through, because she triaged her that morning. And I was like, just put her through today. I'll just close her quick, and then we'll hit this big number, right? It's too quick of a cycle. I don't believe in same day closes. I know you're gonna hear a bunch of other business owners flip back out of their chair. I think they're silly. Okay, and this is why. She triaged her, moved her on to a closing call with me. I got on the call, phenomenal conversation, okay? Hit every pain point, hit the push-pull process just so consistently. It was beautiful. It was like a perfect choreographed dance, okay? I'm feeling good at the end, right? I pitched the paid in full, and then basically she's like, oh, that's a lot of money. I mean, I just met Brooke earlier today, and she's like, I believe in what you guys do. I love it, but that's a lot of money for like just meeting someone off the internet. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, damn it, Brent, this is exactly why we do things the way that we do. But because I was trying to help her reach this revenue number, we sped up the process a little bit. Again, I own that. Okay. So I made a trust objection for myself. That trust objection wouldn't have existed had she been booked out another day or 2 and we could nurture her between the triage and the closing call. Wouldn't have happened. Okay. She would have been warmed up enough. She would have been familiar enough with the content to just pay that money. Instead, I created a freaking think about it objection and a trust objection that I had to overcome. And again, I still wound up getting the paid in full. Okay. This is not a brag on me, but it took a half hour of objection handling, a half an hour that I didn't need to spend doing that had I just nurtured her appropriately.
That's a really good question. So two questions. One, that you're going to do the typical close, but you didn't in that scenario, but you think it doesn't matter if there's different personal triage calls to close. And then what do you do in terms of warming them up between the 2 calls? Like send them podcasts or social media content or something like that? Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. So first question, throw it back. Who should be doing the triage? I like the business owner doing it. No matter how big your business is, I think you should have a part in that process. And I know, again, some people are not going to like this, but for our students, we're not creating fit pros that are doing 7 figures, like mid 7 figures. Okay. I've worked with them, and that's again another conversation. I like building fit pros to a sustainable income. That, again, sustainable is a key word here, just like we talk in fitness. I want this to be a business that runs very well, and it doesn't require all your stress, time, and energy. Okay. So that number might be 10K a month. That number might be 80K a month or 90K, but we're not pushing into like 200,000-300,000 a month, because most fit pros, they think they want that, and then their heads explode when they get there. Okay. It's a different ballgame.
I was just wondering, it's the expression of like different levels of different levels. It's like people don't understand the problems that come with scale.
They do not. And most people just want to earn an honest living, be able to go shopping down in, Scottsdale, down at Fashion Square, get a few things that they like, and go back to living a good life. That's a good life to me, right? But we're conditioned to think that we need to do 7 figures and to do all this, but they don't know how much stress comes with that. So I really promote people doing, again, in that like 10 to upwards at the high end of 100K a month, right? So again, just to swing it back to the question before I get off into the weeds on that, I think the business owner should have a part in the front end of the sales process, because you don't know if your closer sucks or if you have unqualified leads. The only way to know that for sure is if you triage. You know that you have good leads that you're pushing through and that they're qualified. So if your closer's not closing them, then your closer sucks. Or if the leads that are coming in, you're like, dude, I wouldn't put this on a call with myself, then you know that maybe your marketing needs some changes. The only way to know that, though, as a business owner, is if you're part of that process. If you remove yourself from that process, we've tried it, it doesn't go well. It does not go well. Not at this size of business. You have to play some part in that. And it doesn't mean you're triaging for 20 hours a day. It might just mean that you time block an hour or two a day, and you take 4 15-minute calls in each of those hours. That's plenty.
Right, that's spot on. And in the triage calls, how do you run those? More just like a process of trying to warm people up and identify their pain points and challenges, and like open it up a bit so they can sit on that before they go into the next call?
Exactly. Yeah. So again, you don't have a sale if you don't have a pain point, you don't have urgency and a desire to change. Like those are like you have to have those 3 things, right? Otherwise, the Jordan Belforts and like all the guys who think that they can close anybody and everybody that walks through the door, it's not the case. You might close them, but again, we don't factor in cancellations and chargebacks. Okay. So they have to have a pain point, urgency, and desire. So I want to touch on all of those in the triage. If you have all 3 of those, then I give you a green check mark, and I'm going to move you on. And curiosity is kind of like the cousin of those. They have to be curious about what that next call is going to be about. You have to identify something in their current process where they're like, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. It's like, oh yeah, and listen, that we'll cover that on the next call. We'll do a real deep dive, and we'll work on a plan that's custom to you. I just want to make sure that that's something that you're open to. And if you create a curiosity, they're usually like, yeah, I'm really, really curious about what that is.
That's well.
Show up rates go up too when there's curiosity.
What would be if you have any suggestions of people to raise curiosity for the second call?
Yeah. So curiosity, I say this because my coach did this to me, and it was something I never thought about. So I have a fitness coach, and he did something so effortless. Okay. I don't think he doesn't know I even teach this, which is hilarious, right? I'd never even told him that I teach this.
He's a fitness coach.
His name is Alex Bush. He's phenomenal. It's physique development. They got a wonderful podcast, great team of coaches. But I was on the phone with Alex. All right. Shout out to Alex here. And he said something that just blew my mind. I told him I was having some back pain. Right. And I'd worked with a coach. I've done all this. And I just could not get rid of like this constant back pain, like in my shoulder. And we had the conversation. He said this, Charlie, he said, based on what you've told me so far, based on your hobbies and things that, that you enjoy doing, I've got some ideas kind of floating around in my head. I'm kind of putting together this puzzle as to why you're having this consistent back pain, but we'll cover that in a minute. And I was like, well, hold on, let's cover that now. I was like, tell me what's going on. Right. And I don't think he knew he did it, but I was just like, dude, what? This guy's a genius. Like, what does he know? Yeah. So we do that all the time on calls. It's like, okay, I see what might be going on here. I'm definitely painting a picture, but we'll cover that before we do. And then I'm going to continue asking, the push-pull questions.
That's actually, you've done something I love that, right? So I'm a big fan of practicing what you preach. So like I've fixed coach, business mentors, and all that kind of stuff. But you learn from other people by being on the other end of the prospect, right? Like you hire a fitness coach, like you don't realize at the time, and then suddenly realize after he just did that to me, but he didn't even realize it because he's really good what he does.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's exactly what happened, and it's made a world of difference for our students, that curiosity aspect, because I recognize that, and I was like, wait a minute, that felt nice. I want my prospects to feel like that.
I'm saying. Well, we'll start to wrap things up. But if you're happy to, I'd love to do a part 2 on this because there's loads of other stuff to go to. 2 questions for you. 1, do you have any sales books you recommend for anyone listening? 2, do you have any sales training, or how can people work with you that you'd recommend?
Yeah, beautiful. So books, I'm gonna give you. Can I give 3? My top 3? Because I can't decide between them. Okay, so Flip the Script, Oren Klaff.
Yeah.
Okay. Start with No by Jim Camp, and then Never Split the Difference by, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank at his name.
Yeah, as well. The FBI detective,
the negotiator, man, I drew a blank on his name. Those are my top 3. Those things changed everything for me. I really believe that. Where they can find me, Charlie, in fact, if they go to you, or if they find us on Instagram, we're Closers for Fitness. Again, we don't do placement, we do sales coaching. Okay, I know the name is maybe perhaps a bit misleading. So Closers for Fitness on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, anything else is just Brent Kromer. Okay. And if you have any questions, again, I'm an open book, man. I love talking sales. I can talk it all day. So I'm happy to help anyone here.
Well, thank you so much. For everyone listening to the podcast, watching on YouTube or watching on Apple, watching wherever, make sure you use 5-star review, subscribe, drop a comment below if you can watch part 2, see you next episode.